show you all the transitions, I wanted to quickly show you how these transitions work. We're gonna come up to the effects library, and then in here in the toolbox, we're just gonna come up to video transitions, and I'm just going to type in Pro, get just the ones for this pack. And then we can simply go through here and let's add in a spin transition. Those are pretty self-explanatory and not too complicated to understand for this demonstration. So I'm just going to click on it so we can see that it's highlighted. And then over here in the inspector, we can see that we're under the transitions. So here we can pick the time, those kind of work together. And then you can align it if you wanted to align towards the video coming in, if you want it to be in the center, or if you want it to be trailing. I currently do have render cache turned on. If you don't want to do that, you come up here, render cache, boom, put it on smart. And that renders in the background, so then when you play the transition, it plays pretty smooth, pretty quickly. You don't really have to worry about that until you start to add stuff like motion blur. So by default, if we take a look at this, we don't have any motion blur, so it doesn't have that like really smooth, blurry look yet, but we can add that in. Pretty self-explanatory. Spins, so that's the spin count, how many times it's going to spin. We can obviously get it to go the other way for counterclockwise or clockwise. This one is pretty cool. This is the spin point. So where do you want it to spin from? If I click the little drop down, we can go into the fusion overlay and I can pick a spot. So let's pick this little light at the top of the cab here. And when this spins now, it's going to spin based off of that area, right? So it's not going to spin off the center, but we can simply double click and then just have it spin off the center. So that's up to you. If you want to have a particular portion, you can also just like bring it way down here and get it like a cool spin like that too, which is pretty cool. All right, so once we do that, we'll go back to the center. This other thing I want to show you before we get into motion blur, because that takes a little extra rendering time, is, and this is probably the easiest thing to show you, is if I come into here and let's go to like bounce. So now, this allows you to tenfold the options that you have for how these transitions work now. So now we have bounce as the exit of the transition. So it plays and then it has a bounce at the end there. So we can really pick this to do whatever we want. We can go into like some elastic thing. Let's pick the speed, slow it down a little bit, and let's turn on motion blur. And as you can see, by default, this is set to 2 as quality, so it's a little steppy, but you can bump this up to whatever number you want. Just know the higher you get it to go, the longer it's going to take for that to render. So now if we play this, we can see we have a completely different look, right? All of these transitions have different features like that, where this one transition here has hundreds of different variations. And I feel like it really adds a lot of really cool possibilities when it comes to these transitions. And that's how we are now able to have so many different variants of these different transitions. So with that being done, let's jump into all of the other transitions that this pack has to offer.